Hey guys, my name is Adam and I'm here with episode 2 of the News Hub for the 27th of April 2013. The first topic I have for you guys today is the release of Dead Island Riptide. So this happened earlier in the week, and it is of course I wouldn't call it a sequel, it's more of just an advancement of the original Dead Island, which was of course a zombie kind of survival, kind of shoot 'em up game. It really depends on your overall look of it. It wasn't a very dangerous game. It was more just a killing floor with zombies, and it could have been really anything in the long run. Now, Dead Island, the original at least, was littered with many problems right out of the gate. And it was horribly optimized for PC. It had horrible bugs. It was shipped with the developer copy first. I mean, they had a laundry list of issues that really took a long time to resolve, and some still have not even been resolved. There was patching after the game that made it slightly better, but honestly, I was not a fan of the original Dead Island. It seemed very uninspired, it seemed very unoriginal, because quite frankly, when you're putting zombies in a game, you'd think that they would be more threatening, but they just flat out aren't in Dead Island. It's more so just you shoot up anything, and you can get that kind of feel from any type of enemy, but when you're adding into zombies into account, I mean, you should add more of a survival aspect, especially when you take on this role of building a new civilization through a zombie outbreak. It seems very odd to me that they would change from a survival game over to just this random shoot 'em up featuring zombies. It has nothing to do with survival for the most part. It really is just shooting up everything you see, and for a lot of people, that was a turnoff. For some people, that was great, because some people just like this crazy shoot 'em up with a moderate story. Now, I wasn't a fan of the original Dead Island because it had very boring tasks. It had very, very tedious missions. It was very annoying. It just seemed uninspired to me. It seemed like they didn't put a lot of emphasis onto the story because the missions were just so dull. And honestly, when you have a game like Dead Island that needs to be focused on story and how you're surviving a zombie outbreak, even though you're just shooting everything in the face and you have plenty of ammo, I mean, you need to make the story at least be good. I really think they failed in that. Now, Dead Island Riptide, I don't know. It seems like it is littered with the exact same problems of the original Dead Island. There are completely irrelevant tasks, very, very tedious and repetitive missions. And the consensus from the general amount of people that have gotten this is that it has made relatively no changes to the actual game, which is a shame because honestly, a game like this has a lot of potential. If you could turn a game like Dead Island into more of a survival game where ammo was kind of scarce and you have to do a bunch of other stuff in order to get cool stuff, it'd make more sense. But the way it is now, it quite clearly is just meant to shoot up a lot of zombies. And, I mean, it's okay to an extent to do that with your game, but when you clog the combat down by just constantly throwing enemies at you that constantly are respawning, it just gets tedious, it gets repetitive, and the game gets old very quickly. Right now on Steam, Dead Island Riptide can be bought for $40 or your regional equivalent, which is quite a high price. I don't think it's as expensive as the original Dead Island, and they are not calling it a direct sequel. Now, honestly, what I think that the developer was trying to do with this mainly, let me take a look here. The developer was Techland and published by Deep Silver, in case you're wondering, but anyway. I think, honestly, what they were trying to do with this was to make it a more enjoyable experience than the original Dead Island, because as I said, the original came with a lot of problems right off the bat. This one does not have the same optimization problems, and they did not have quite so rough of a launch. It's just that they haven't done much to improve the base gameplay, which is a real problem. Alright, a couple things that they offer, and it's really sad that this is one of the selling points of this game. They literally have boats in here, and that's one of the things that, for whatever reason, people are clinging to. Like, they have boats, and you can run zombies over in boats, but to me, like, that's not core gameplay, because, that will get old very quickly. Okay, I'm running zombies over in boats over and over, and I won't even be able to get to most of my objectives while riding in a boat the whole time, so I don't really see the point in that. They added in a new multiplayer communication feature, new and unique zombies, or so they say, Once again, though, it's very much so just a shoot 'em up. So when you say new and interesting zombies, it's very difficult to judge that, because if it's survival, they can do a lot more to make it feel intimidating. But when it's just shoot 'em up and you have plenty of ammo, these zombies are not very interesting to deal with. There's also new skills to develop, a brand new skill tree, and all that good stuff. Brief little overview of the game. It is set right after the original Dead Island, where they are thrown back into the midst of a zombie outbreak, and the fight for survival continues. I emphasize survival there in quotes, mainly because it very much so is not a zombie survival game. It is a shoot 'em up with some story bits thrown in the middle. That's really what it is, and you shouldn't expect more from it. Dead Island Riptide is essentially going to take you to the island, to a new island, and it is infested with bloodthirsty zombies and only a few remaining survivors still fighting for their lives. The area and the amount of people that are still left during this game is much smaller than the original Dead Island. There will be new enemies, new weapons, a new playable character, and much more, of course. Dead Island Riptide will draw players back into a world that has grown corrupt, with the last rays of hope vanishing in rising tides. Quite simply, they are throwing you into an area that you have fewer survivors to help you. And I'd also like to add that the dialogue that these characters have is very uninspired. It's very boring, and most of them have nothing worthwhile to say whatsoever. Obviously, you can't have every NPC in a game be interesting and have their own unique dialogue and honestly have something new every time you talk to them. That's difficult to do. I understand that. But the fact that this game offers very little in terms of, I don't know, I guess immersion would be the best way to describe it. They don't offer much in terms of immersion, and it really causes it makes Dead Island take a huge hit, because it's a game that's supposed to be driven off story, but the story is almost irrelevant. I don't know. It's up to you guys. I personally don't like this game. It seems like it was... I don't know if it was rushed or if they really don't know how to improve it, but the gameplay is just very, very basic. The missions are very uninspired and repetitive and boring, in my opinion. This is one that I would definitely skip out on, especially since they haven't done much to improve the base game, and they are charging $40 or regional equivalent for it. It's just not worth it, in my honest opinion. But let's move on to the next topic. In the recent THQ auction, Nordic Games has emerged as the #1 responder to all of these titles that THQ has put up the rights to, and they ended up snagging quite a majority of the games. Now, first off, let me read to you the games that Nordic Games has acquired. They include Titan Quest, Darksiders, Red Faction, MX vs. ATV, Frontlines, Juiced, Stuntman, Destroy All Humans, Deadly Creatures, The Outfit, Summoner, Full Spectrum Warrior, and Supreme Commander. Now, a lot of people may be asking, well, who the hell are Nordic Games? Because they're not exactly the most popular publisher ever. They are the people responsible for Painkiller, and they are also responsible for a game like Arcania, but those games are not the most popular things ever. Painkiller is probably their most successful franchise, but even still, I mean, it's not the most well-known thing in the world. Now, quickly, let me just read a statement from the CEO of Nordic Games. A very important point for us is not to dash into several self-financed multi-million-dollar projects right away, but rather to continue our in-depth analysis of all titles and carefully selecting different financing models for developing new installments of acquired IPs. In the long term, we either want to cooperate with the original creators or best possible developers in order to work on sequels or additional content for these titles. So their huge plan, as of how they've laid it out so far, is they don't want to start creating a bunch of these like high-budget games and just have them fail. Instead, what they're doing is they have acquired the rights to these games, and now they can work on sequels that will actually improve, that they can improve upon from the original. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of those games were littered with problems. Darksiders was a big one of those. But the thing is, when you're putting out these new releases and these sequels, there can be a lot of changes. Taking a risk and putting out a brand new title that nobody has ever seen before, it's a risk because those things are generally high cost because you have to produce them from scratch generally, unless you're using an engine you've used before. But the thing is, when you're producing a sequel, there's a lot less risk, and I think it's a smart move by Nordic Games to actually do this. It's pretty surprising that they actually grabbed all these titles. I mean, the only ones they're missing from THQ is stuff like Homeworld, which went to Gearbox, and all of the big heavy hitters that THQ had, probably because they couldn't afford to buy all the rights of all their games. But essentially, Nordic Games has turned into the second THQ, which is kind of surprising. You know, these guys are pretty unknown, but they have captured some of the biggest titles from THQ. Darksiders is probably the biggest one on there, and Red Faction, of course. Those are the biggest one on there to me. Frontlines, of course, but for the most part, I'm shocked that Nordic Games actually picked up all of these people. They have claimed that they're going to be working on sequels to the majority of these titles, I assume, probably all of them. And we'll just have to see what comes out of it in the future. We can't really say for certain what we'll see in the future, but I think that we're certainly going to see a Titan Quest 2, going to see a Darksiders 2, 3, maybe 4, whatever they want to do, but I honestly think that they can do a good job with this. They can really push a sequel to the next level and make it far better than the originals, which were, of course, littered with some problems. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's kind of an interesting topic, and I was surprised when I found out that Nordic actually picked up all of these titles. But on to the next topic. The Xbox 720 reveal date has been made public. This is straight off Xbox.com, so it is confirmed. The new generation will be revealed on May 21st at 10 a.m. PDT, and you can watch it on Xbox Live, Xbox.com, or Spike TV. You'll need to convert that to your local time zone if you need to, but also they have started a Twitter campaign with the hashtag XboxReveal. If you're interested in joining the conversation, you can do so there if you so desire. Now, the big thing that I'd like to bring attention to with this little topic is Xbox has gotten a lot of negative press over the past couple of months. We've heard talks of always online DRM. We've heard talks of rental games no longer working due to that DRM. We've heard talks that I don't know, we've heard so much negative feedback, and there's so many rumors surrounding the system, and Microsoft has responded to pretty much none of it. And because of that, the PS4 really rose in popularity very quickly, because Sony was very upfront, and the reveal was much sooner than Microsoft. So you have to wonder, is the Xbox actually going to be able to beat the PS4 in sales this year? It's really unknown at this point. They are expecting to have this out by the holiday season, I would assume. That seems like the smartest way to do things. That way, everyone is going to be buying these for Christmas. Now, will the PS4 actually do better? We don't really know, because everything we've heard about the Xbox 720 thus far has been rumors. We all know that everyone, as of right now, hates always online DRM due to problems with games like SimCity and various other titles, but the problem is, we don't know if Microsoft actually wants to do that. All of this will be confirmed to us on May 21st, I would assume, unless they still keep it secret, which would be a really bad idea. If they never bring to light the fact that if it's always online or not, there's going to be a lot of harsh feedback, and it's going to be much worse for them. The people that are holding off on blaming Microsoft so far have been the people that think that all will be explained at the reveal. If they don't explain enough at the reveal, people are going to be very pissed off. But saying that, I have faith that Microsoft will be very willing to get rid of all this negative press that their console has gotten without them even saying anything. So we'll have to see what happens. I won't talk too much on this. I'll talk more on it when the reveal actually happens. I'll probably make a video explaining all the features and the hardware that they'll be using in it. Will the Xbox 720 even have better hardware than the PS4? We'll have to find out, but until then, let's move on to our last topic of the day. Rockstar Games is having a huge sale on Steam. So if you're interested in Rockstar Games, what are they known for? They're known for Grand Theft Auto, and they're known for Max Payne mainly. They've also been the creators of LA Noire and a couple other games that are also on sale here. This is a huge deal, so I wanted to highlight some of the big ones. First off, Rockstar Hits Collection will include 4 items. Contains Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto Episodes from Liberty City, LA Noire, and Max Payne 3. The only one in there that has faced some criticism would be Max Payne 3 due to its excessive use of cutscenes. There's over 3 hours of cutscenes in that game. If you are a heavy story person, though, that's not so bad because the game really does tell you a story. It is currently 67% off, taking it down to $30 for all of those games. So this is a pretty good deal. However, you have to keep in mind that each of these are on sale individually as well, so if you don't want all of them, or maybe you already have a couple of them, it's certainly not worth getting the collection to get a couple of them. You can buy them separately, and they are also on sale, so there's really nothing wrong with that at all. Coming up next, they have the Grand Theft Auto Complete Pack on sale, which includes 7 items, which is all of the Grand Theft Autos. It is 75% off, taking it down to $12.49. It's pretty good. Honestly, though, once again, all of these are on sale for 75% off, so if there's only a couple you want, then I highly suggest you just grab them from there. They have the Grand Theft Auto 4 Complete Edition, also 75% off. So if what you're interested in is mainly Grand Theft Auto 4, I definitely suggest that little Complete Edition. But moving on past that, we have the Max Payne Complete Pack, which includes 4 items, of course, Max Payne 1 and 2, Max Payne 3, and the Max Payne 3 Rockstar Pass. Again, Max Payne 3 is highly considered by many people to be the weak point of the series, but it does tell a story really well. Also, if you have one of these already and you want the other 2, for example, then once again, you can buy these separately for 50% off each. Max Payne 3 is 50% off, taking it down to $20. And then you have the Max Payne Bundle, which includes Max Payne 1 and 2. That is 50% off, taking it down to $7.49. That's pretty good. And you know, it's kind of odd how a Max Payne Bundle is not actually including Max Payne 3. I guess Rockstar also felt it was a weaker point in the series, or maybe that it was just too different to be bundled together with that. There is a bundle that contains all 3, but there's also this bundle that contains just 2. So make sure you get the one you want right. It clearly says it there. Moving on past that, though, they have the LA Noire Complete Edition that is 66% off and is going for $10.20. I personally have played a lot of this, and I have beaten it multiple times. It's a great game, very detective style, and you play as Detective Cole Phelps, who is trying to be an honest cop in a very dishonest city. Very good. I also suggest the DLC bundle. They offer a lot of new cases, and it's just an all-around good deal. You can also buy LA Noire and the DLC bundle separately. In case you already have LA Noire and you want the DLC, then you can get that for 50% off as well. These last 3 games I have no knowledge of, but I want to make it available to you. So, Bully Scholarship Edition, 50% off, taking it down to $7.49. Reading the description of this game, it is apparently a fictional story of a child at a New England boarding school. They're 15 years old, and he goes through various humorous events and adolescence. So I can imagine that they made quite a lot of humorous jokes surrounding that. Also, Midnight Club 2 appears to be a racing game, and it's 50% off, going for $5. You'll be traveling through LA, Paris, and Tokyo, and you can choose some very interesting cars. Finally, Manhunt, which appears to be some sort of a horror game. It is 50% off, taking it down to $5. That rounds up the Rockstar sales weekend, and it was definitely a really, really promising sale. I'd pick this up really quickly. It will end tomorrow, later in the day. I don't know the exact time, but nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the News Hub, and I will see you in episode 3 next weekend.